Hi, everyone. Lisa and Dan here from Fireside Strategic. We're on a mission to help business leaders achieve great results through human-centered strategy. In the Fireside Chat series, we're showcasing how leaders unite strategic and human thinking in leadership, and today are transcending the challenges of COVID-19. Right now, we're excited to be chatting with Amy Toepper, founder and attorney at Legal in a Box. Amy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Legal in a Box, what is it?
So a little bit about the background. I decided to go out on my own probably about 5 years ago, really just for flexibility and lifestyle changes. And I went out and started talking to people who I thought would need my help. In law school, they do not tell you how to get clients. So I just went out and spoke to people who I thought might need my help. And after talking to so many different people at different networking events, I soon realized that many of these small business owners I spoke with didn't have attorneys, didn't know where to look for an attorney, were either doing things themselves or clearly were not able to afford, $300, $400, or $500 an hour attorneys. So I thought that there had to be something in between, sort of legal Zoom, Rocket Lawyer, DIY on one side, and then high expense law firms on the other. And so I came up with this concept of Legal in a Box. Let's keep it contained, and let's keep it affordable and approachable and transparent. And so that's where it came from. So we offer a variety of services from, I just want to look at a couple of forms and we have a library of documents, to I need an LLC set up for a reasonable amount, I'm just starting out, to, now I'm an established business and I have some questions about employees, or I have some questions about some policies or a partnership agreement. So we kind of cover that small business spectrum.
I was going to ask who your clients are. Are they sort of exclusively small businesses? Are you working typically with general counsels of businesses, or are you tend to work with the business owners? Curious to learn more about who your clients are.
Yeah, so for the most part, it's the business owner, and it's for folks who are really just starting out, who are the solo entrepreneurs and really just want to get some basic questions answered as to how and where to start out. And really kind of, I focus on the counselor aspect of that role, which I really love. And then again, as the businesses grow and they hire people, some questions that come with employees, and how do we hire, and what does an employee handbook look like? And so for the most part, we're dealing with the owners at all stages, up to, businesses that are at $5 or $10 million revenue a year. So from the small to the mid-size.
No, but so how do you keep things, like what do you do to keep things lower price, more flexible? What's the mechanism there?
So I wanted to solve two problems. The first problem was to provide small businesses with quality legal advice. And then that was sort of the external goal. And the internal goal was to be able to have women like myself, and quite frankly, not even women, just lawyers who wanted to take a step away off of law firm life, crazy busy hours, and work a truly flexible part-time job and using their degree. Most often, those individuals are women who have stepped away to have children, or raising children, or taking care of aging parents, or whatever other demands the attorney might have. And so we keep prices low by being really entirely remote, by using a number of cloud-based, platforms to communicate and share documents and speak with clients. So we were kind of on, in that mode even before, COVID and all the quarantine, video Zooming blew up. So that's how we keep prices down low for the clients. And then also, keeping attorneys who want to work part-time and use their degree at work in a flexible capacity.
I love that. So you really are doing such a great job solving both of these challenges, both for your clients and for the people that are working for you. This aligns so much with our vision, is that, we focus on human-centered strategy. What we care about is clients are humans with their own challenges, and employees are humans with their own challenges. And I really love how you've been able to find a pretty, clean and clever way to solve all of those humans' challenges.
We're trying, and I think we're doing a pretty good job. and for me, I mean, my kids are a little bit older now, but I know the opportunity was presented to me probably about, oh gosh, maybe like 13 years ago, to work in a sort of a contract based flexible capacity, but still keep my foot in the door, but be able to be home with kids, with a spouse that travels a lot, and provide that flexibility. So I feel like this is not only number one, that it can be done and it can be done great, but that also paying it forward, because the legal industry has always been behind the curve as far as remote working or part-time positions and that sort of thing. And it can be done. It can be done fantastically. And as a result, the client benefits from, a lower rate, and still being protected. So it's something I truly believe in. And that's what keeps me going.
I believe in it too. And it's interesting. I think another aspect of all of this is that if you think about the culture in which the lawyer who is at either the big firm or let's just say a more traditional firm, the culture that lawyer is in, very hardworking, very, very forceful kind of culture. And when your legal work can be done at a more relaxed pace, it's almost like sometimes people say that when they cook something, I cooked with love. I think there's almost an aspect of if your lawyer is working at a slower, more deliberate pace, they're not rushing it. They're not trying to milk you for another billable hour. There's something more, you can imbue the practice of law with a bit more of a relaxed sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I have loved about it is, number one, the attorneys that I work with don't have any billable requirements. There obviously is no FaceTime in the office, that you have to be there at a certain time or leave. We're all working from home. We're all working remotely. But what it does is, for me and for the attorneys that I work with, it highlights the counselor aspect of being an attorney. You think so much about litigation and arguing and setting up a defense, but this is really proactive counseling steps to say, I want to point you in the right direction to mitigate risk as much as you can.
And the billable hour in so many respects is an automatic conflict of interest for that role, I think.
Yeah. Right.
Really just want to celebrate what a change this is for folks that haven't been on the inside of a legal industry. This really is a pretty dramatic change. So really, really just want to celebrate that. Curious what some of the challenges are. I mean, you're a trailblazer, right? You're doing something new in a very old industry. But what are some of the challenges you're facing?
So I would probably say, I guess like with any small business, really just getting the word out, right? And how you come about getting referrals and putting yourself out there and distinguishing yourself from other players out there in the market, and how are you different? And, what do I get? And so, there's a lot of, folks that are hesitant to talk to an attorney for any reason. And we want to try to make it as comfortable as possible for them. So, again, one of our tenets is approachability and transparency. And so we really want to try to communicate that as best we can. So probably getting the word out, advertising as best we can, making sure we service our existing clients positively so that they pass our name along. Getting out there on social media and participating in groups. So, getting the word out is probably the biggest challenge. I'm used to the juggle, so, that's okay. The juggle part is the enjoyable part.
Well, one thing that I think is so interesting about your position is you have to be both a lawyer and a businesswoman. And it's actually two very different jobs with two different mindsets and two different drives and two different emotional states. And I'm so impressed that you're able to kind of get into that legal place, but then switch into that CEO place as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I try, and it's definitely a challenge. And, and Dan can probably attest to this too. They don't tell you anything or teach you anything about the business aspect of running a law practice. So it really has been completely learning on my own, and mistakes that we've made, and improvements over time and tweaks over time. So, so that's been challenging, but it's also been fascinating and great. And I almost like to position ourselves not as the attorneys who are going to call out all of the things you can't do, but I think with small businesses, what they really need is a partner to be able to say, here's what you can do to mitigate risk, and here's how I'm going to help you move things along. I think a lot of times as attorneys, we get stuck in our head of, here's all of the terrible things that could happen. And so, take that for what it's worth and good luck with trying to come up with a plan. And so we try to really plan and strategize from a legal perspective, how to best accomplish the small business goals.
You've taught me something in that right now. You've made me realize that, and it's been some years since I've actually practiced law, but there's this very heady space that a lawyer can get into, in which you sort of spit out, this is the law and this is why this would be a terrible mistake. And it's not a very emotionally connected place.
Mm-mm.
It isn't a place in which one's demonstrating care for the person at the other end of the line. And I think there's this place where one can still use this, great skill set that we learn in law school of thinking through complex problems, but do so from a place of emotional connection.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And to focus on the role of counselor, that someone is coming to me with their problems, and these problems happen to be legal/business problems. And I'm coaching and counseling them through it, and helping them solve problems and being an asset for them. And just the peace of mind to know that, regardless of the size of business you have, every business should be able to say, let me speak to my attorney. And to have that in your back pocket, I think is empowering and not impossible. It's not impossible for that to be the case.
I love that. As the non-lawyer in this group, something that I was thinking about as you were speaking is normally going to talk to a lawyer feels a little bit like going to the dentist. It's something that is like a necessary evil. You're not really looking forward to it, but you must.
Yes.
And the way that you've described your approach, your process, the way that you work with your clients, suddenly I'm like, ooh, I want to go talk to them. You're going to help me. And I'm really excited that you're actually infusing, kind of, as Dan mentioned earlier, that emotional connection, that like someone who's a support, not a necessary evil, into your relationships.
Yes. Yeah. Because attorneys so many of the times act as hurdles to what's going on. And I want to be a partner and help people, get past the problems that they're facing for success.
So changing gears a little bit, you mentioned that you were already working remotely, but I'm curious, has COVID-19, has this pandemic changed the way that you've had to work, or changed kind of the state of your clients? And what has happened and how have you dealt with it?
So I would probably say that, there was a good 2-week period where everyone was kind of not doing anything, kind of scared as far as making any moves, not sure where this was going to go. And everything kind of slowed down. And then after 2 weeks, what I saw here is a couple things. Number one, hey, I'm sitting at home now with this extra time, and I'm going to open this business that I always wanted to, but I never thought about doing. And can you help me set that up? Another piece of it is, hey, I'm going to take this time to sort of, use this money to improve my corporate documents that I have been, that have been on my to-do list for months and months. And now that I have a little bit of time at home, will you help me get these documents in order? And then the other piece of it, the third piece of it, what we're seeing is I'm reopening in all these different states. I do particularly have a brick and mortar place, or I'm a pet sitter or a dog walker or a salon owner. And so I will be interacting with people. How do I do that safely? What does that mean from a legal perspective? What does a COVID waiver look like? What does it mean to assume the liability of possibly, getting COVID and all that kind of thing. So really this reopening phase and counseling small business owners who do have to get together with people on how best to, and the safest way to do it.
That's a very smart approach, and it sounds like you have your work cut out for you. So as we kind of move on beyond COVID and into the future, what are some of your hopes and your kind of broader hopes for what Legal in a Box will become?
I think probably just continued growth, continuing to get the word out there, to know that we are, available for small businesses, and we are, approachable and affordable, and that folks should not, just, I always say this: there's very few absolutes in life, but one of the absolutes, as far as being an attorney goes, is you make a mistake, or if a business owner makes a mistake, it is always 100% of the time more expensive and more time consuming to clean up a problem than just try to deal with it the right way the first time around. And so that's what we try to do, is try to be proactive, preventative, and help these small businesses stay afloat. This is a big part of our economy. It's what people are doing in their home offices at nighttime on their laptops. It's what the US is doing. And so let's work hard to protect that by, taking the legal precautions we need to.
I think that's a beautiful vision, and I'm really excited for you to grow and to continue to kind of change the legal landscape, both for people who work for you, but also for your clients. There's so many small businesses that need what you're giving.
Mm-hmm.
So as we reach the end of our time together, there's one question that we love to ask at the end of each interview. So we have all been sitting inside for a long time, and I'm curious, during this time, what have you been doing for fun?
So I probably went into the first couple weeks of cooking and baking, like many people. And then after about 2 weeks, I got really tired of that. And so then it was probably a lot of house organizing, cleaning out closets and drawers, and getting rid of things. And I'd like to say, tons of exercise, but that would just be a lie, and that's not what I did. Lots of walking though, so that's good.
Perfect. Well, getting a little bit of exercise is better than no exercise, right?
Yes, lots of walking.
Amy, it was such a pleasure to have you on. Really, really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much for coming on, and can't wait to see what you do in future.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure speaking with you guys.
Thank you.